Hello and welcome. And this is the Hustle Over Everything podcast. I'm Owen Osinde,
I'm Alexander.
and this is our first ever episode having Alex on as one of my co hosts. As many of you have known over the years, the way this podcast evolved, it was just me starting off as Owen Osinde. You know, when I got into podcasting, it was just Owen Osinde, then moved on to the e-commerce podcast. And then, after some inspiration over the last summer, I got the idea to start Hustle Over Everything. And the way I got to Hustle Over Everything is I asked myself, what do I embody? Who am I? Who's Owen Osinde? And the one word I can think of is hustle. And everything I thought back was I hustled throughout all things, whatever it is. I worked hard and I found a way through. So that is the reason Hustle Over Everything exists. And now here we are. And over the past couple episodes, I've been asking myself, where can the show grow? How can we grow this into a really great business, into a really great media company? And my good friend Alex, we've been friends for over the past 4 years in Ryerson, being in classes together, taking trips to California for Afrotech, and just exchanging ideas, sharing knowledge, helping each other grow, because we really want to be successful. And you can't be successful if you don't work with others and you don't share ideas. That's the only way you can really prosper out here. So Al and I met up. The feeling was mutual. I was like, what? I really want you on my team. I feel like we can build something great. And Alex echoed the same sentiments, man. So Al, welcome. Let me just give you a proper warm introduction. Everybody, let us all welcome Alexander, aka Mr. Elevated Whitfield, to the show. Alex, man, welcome.
Let's go. What's going on, everybody? I'm happy to be here. Happy to get started. It's been a wild ride. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for a while, and it just blossomed. It just happened organically, which is the best way things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited about it.
I always knew, whenever after the whole sneaker deck thing happened, I always thought about, who can I really work with? And I had a few ideas, but I always saw you as the guy. I was like, you know what, me and Al, we're really on the same path. You really I don't know what it is, man, but when someone knows you're on the same wavelength, it's I see you grinding, you see me grinding, we share ideas, we share thoughts. And yeah, bro. So first thing I want to ask you is, I know a lot of people heard you from the previous podcast, but just let's get to know you personally. So the way I'm going to do this is kind of interview format where, I'll ask you things just to get you to know on a personal level. And I think since, and we can just chop it up on the way, but I think that way people can really understand who you are from a personal level. So how would you describe yourself as a person, and what really made you want to be an entrepreneur?
Man, how do I describe myself as a person? I say kind-hearted, aggressive, but in almost kind of like what Asi Badu was saying, and minimally aggressive.
Aggressive minimalism.
Yeah, exactly. Calm, laid back, but aggressive when need be. Yeah, this is a very chill person. I like to dive into things, I remember hearing a metaphor that there's people who swim in shallow waters, people who swim in deep waters. And I believe I'm the latter of someone who just swims in the deep waters and likes to dive into subject matters and really dive into things you care about, and actually taking the time to get to know the ins and outs of things versus just having a shallow perspective, Yeah. So that's kind of what brings me to podcasting overall, is having that deeper connection with something, So, and me as an entrepreneur, man, I guess I'd say resilient,
Resilient,
definitely. I first started with media and the SOC with IK years ago, after I just had won the Nicholas thing, like I said in the podcast. And I was just like, all right, let's start growing, and we started, and it didn't really work out like way I wanted it to, but that didn't stop me. I kept it going, and this being resilient throughout, staying resilient and persistent. It was just like the motto I've always had, even if there's a month where I make no money or a month I make like some K's, I'm like, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
like celebrating the journey either way and keeping my head down. So that's just like where I am with it.
Mhm.
Most definitely.
It's crazy how, you and IK, met and then we all met. How come IK
Mm-hmm.
dropped out of the biz?
There was no structure at all. It was just like, yo, I got this business. Let's start working, let's start building. But there was absolutely no structure, no flow. It was kind of like almost like, hey, go do it and come back. Like there was no meetings, no set time. Because I was still like in my first year of college or university. I had no idea what I was doing at all.
Yeah.
So that was like a great learning experience. I got to see like what I needed in terms of winning new business, in terms of setting up things for clients
Mhm.
and internal business. Like nobody teaches you how to run a team, how to structure things, And I came from working at like Banana Republic at the time. There was like no, not even like a corporate type of like or just like a team aspect of like, all right, this is how we're going to consistently grow this business. There was none of that. It was just
Yeah,
like, all
yeah.
right, this is what it is. We'll build a website, then maybe go approach people and talk back in a week, something like
Mhm.
that. In a week,
And the thing is, I always feel like everything starts like that. If you look at the common trend when people are launching in
Yeah.
school,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we all have that motivation, we all have that hunger to really do something, but we all lack structure. And I
Yeah.
think that's why like a lot of projects I've seen, back at Ryerson, they're so promising, but they
Mm-hmm.
just lack structure. And then another thing is I feel is, since everybody comes and harnesses the idea together,
Mm-hmm.
there's a failure to define each other's roles, where someone is the leader, someone delegates this and that. So it becomes like this communal type of thing where
Mm-hmm.
decision making is so lagged because there's no true defined leader. Like there's no like, hey, this is the marketing guy, this is like the CEO guy or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody's comfortable doing that because everybody kind of wants is wearing the same hats. And I think when you don't have the leadership lined up early on, uh, there's no accountability. There's no person to hold you accountable, especially if it's with your friends too, right? Because like we all want the same thing, but I think just that broken structure from like defining the roles and like someone to report to and actually having that like authority, not authority, but like like when you have like the you all respect each other, but like if I'm CEO and I say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, it's like, okay, this is what you feel is the best decision, right? So like how would you see if you were to go back and like I know you grew with media, but with the team back then, how would you have changed things to really keep that team together instead of like breaking out solo?
Oh man, that's a great question. All right, so first off, I would have like started organizing each other from the jump. So I would have had like specific roles that we were each doing. Like we were all like almost in a sales position. No one had any real perception of anything or perception of ownership or perception of um like long-term goals even. It
Mhm.
was just, hey, this is like a fun thing. Let's just do it. You know. So I would say structuring all that out, from a mission statement all the way down to what the roles are, to what the weekly tasks are, and really like setting a monthly, quarterly, yearly goal, and then like backtracking on exactly what we need to do to accomplish those. So for instance, if you want to win business, how many people do we need to approach to get a call, like a call that would be a qualified lead? Then from a
Mhm.
qualified, out of the qualified leads, how many qualified leads do we need to land a meeting? How much meetings do we need to get to close a meeting to get business? Then to
Mhm.
scale that. That's what I'll start doing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
work
yeah.
from that sense. Then internally, I would start looking at what's the hourly cost, of doing business and like measuring the profit off of the cost of goods sold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, for sure.
that I think is like where I would have gone from jump if I was to start that all over. Just so we have like a clear structure of, all right, this is the business, this is each other's roles, this is how the business model going forward. This is the numbers we need to hit in order to get to the next level. You know, this really structuring it out, like not in terms of like making everybody a rigid role, but structuring it out mentally so everyone has like a picture of what we're following, the building blocks, the Tetris building blocks we're putting together to get to that new level, you know? I
Yeah.
think that's a missing element a lot of businesses don't have when you're just starting up, is those like micro things that lead to the macro picture,
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
you
for
know?
sure, man. I've seen that happen so many times. Like people would just start something that looks cool, but it just falls out. And then there's no
Mm-hmm.
money in the beginning. There's no
Mm-hmm.
money to really pay people. There's people gotta,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things about starting a business. It's people gotta feed themselves. You have part-time jobs, you have, we still have full-time jobs. I mean, for me, right now, I don't have a full-time job just because of COVID, but we had a flow of like the 9 to 5, and then after that, we'll do our thing. So when you're starting a business, you also have to have the commitment. And that's one of the other things that comes to it because people are not committed. They kind of, it's kind of like a laissez-faire situation. It's like, okay, I'll do this when I feel like it, but it all comes down to that accountability and commitment too. So people don't fall off. And that's how projects stop. It's you start with steam and then there's that kind of thing I also noticed. Like people start fading back. They're like the communication stops, checking in stops, deliverables are coming in late, and then before you know it, the whole project just falls apart. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's an opportunity there to like educate people like how to start a business in university because I think that's where a lot of ideas come from. But there's
Mm-hmm.
no like proper structure that allows people to really flourish in school. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm
Uh,
saying?
Most definitely. And I remember Gary Vee was talking about that in one of his episodes. And I don't like to quote Gary Vee too much because a lot of times he's seen as just like motivational, you know, because he
Oh,
is. He's that motivational thing. But when he talks about business, sometimes he actually has quality values to add. And one of the things he was saying is that like when it comes to hiring friends, you need to say, yo, I'm happy to hire you or and work with you, but there's no I will fire you, you know? And having that from the jump of like, all right, listen, this is business, but this is not for play at all, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just so like that fire is still under each other's butt, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, man, just staying true to each other. So keep holding each other accountable by deliverables we want to hit, or at least like a general sense of deliverables we want to hit. So even if we don't, like, all right, we kind of set it too high, and then adjusting from that on, you know, because you're working off no year over year, right? And like in the business, like, you're usually working with their quarters, how quarters run. But in the startup, when you're just starting off, you don't know what happened last quarter or the quarter before
Exactly, man.
or the year over year. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of just freestyling it. So you got to give it time to figure out exactly what happened. But you still got to measure it though, you know? Of, all right.
And also
Go ahead.
refine your offering, refine your product because you're just starting out. You don't know if it's like a consistent offering that's going to last forever to build a sustainable business. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Even in the service business, like yeah, like okay, it's like I feel like the first 3 or 4 months, I think the first half of the year is really refining your offering, refining your sales structure, and
Mm-hmm.
refining how you're really going to deliver that consistently, and then learning how to scale it. So I think once that's done, I kind of see the second half of okay, let's actually we've refined the offering or the product. This is our sales structure. This is how we're gonna get to this revenue. And then you just start pushing that. And then along the way, it's like you're tweaking it back and forth. And actually, even after you refine that, I think you still tweak it, constantly tweak it to really uh, make it a consistent place. So now when new people come in, okay, this is how we do things. So now you don't have to educate the next guy who comes in of how do you do sales, how do we deliver to customers, how do we
Yep.
really grow our business, what is the manual for our policy on this, and that. Um,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think one of the things is like we don't really account for is just time and having the patience. Um, you know, like, you know, with the patience thing, has there been a time like where you're doing your business with Wit Media where you felt like you were not patient and it costed you some way, somehow?
Oh, definitely, man. Oh man,
Like
patience is such
looking
a
back,
virtue. Oh man, so
like
much
it's like, man,
times.
if I was patient with that and I took my time, this could have like went differently.
Oh, most definitely, man. Well, in sales, for instance, for a lot of times, sometimes you become desperate for the close sometimes, uh, and it's a lesson that you have to learn. It's like, no, the fast deals, this isn't always the best deal, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And not all money makes sense, and it's you learn over the process, or over the time that
Sometimes just
uh,
thirsty for the money that you forget like this is gonna bite me
yeah,
in the
this
end, you know?
exactly. There's been times where I close the deal without the contract, and then someone sends the contract over after, and that was like a big mistake, and I'll never ever do
Mm-hmm.
that again. You had to stick that. I took that lesson. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and doing your background research on your client.
Yeah. Yeah.
What other people think of your client?
Mm-hmm.
How are they with paying? What are their books like? I'm not saying go through their clients' books every time, but at least doing a background check on the client, that you're working with, I think is an essential thing. There's so much to go into. I could go on for that for days,
Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think
How
sometimes
about
when you,
you?
for me, oh, hundreds of like so much. I think for me, I lack patience and I think you also caught me in whenever we were doing our little mastermind when I told you I was like, hey, bro, I think you need to make 3 pieces of content a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like we have to do things super fast because I always have like this thing that we're being left behind, and I always have like this feeling I'm looking behind me to really see what people and not look behind me, but for example, like we're in the content business, we're in the media business, and we just
Mm-hmm.
spoke about Gary Vee. And I used to watch Gary Vee from 2012 and up, like since grade 11, grade 12, and he was just a nobody. Like he was just putting out content, shoddy camera, him in the
Mm-hmm.
park, whatever. And to see where he is now, and I see the caliber of work that he has, and I see like the content pieces I'm like, yo, we have to do that. We have to, and he goes back to that whole thing, 100 pieces of content a day. And I lose the fact that this is someone who's been in the game for X amount of years. He has a team behind him, and we're just starting out. All we just have to do is take like one step forward. And that mentality of being patient and just perfecting my work and then releasing it has made me produce shoddy work sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I put a piece of something and it's not as the best caliber I could have had it because I just really wanted to maximize on volume on that part. So
Mm-hmm.
um patience with even back in school, man. You remember
Mm-hmm.
when I came back in school, I left school earlier on because I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. Looking back, I mean, I don't mind the risk, but I came back and I finished school. I was like, man, I could have really finished my first run around and been back and been out of school. And I still have a bunch of time left, right? I was so impatient because I thought, oh, yeah, I got to be a millionaire by 25. I actually wrote this and 25 came and this pressure I put on myself just because I'm seeing other kids becoming millionaires by a certain age. I was like, yo, okay, fine, I'll do it. I get to 25. I'm like, I look at my bank account. I'm like, is my net worth a million? No. So it just made me realize you don't really have, it's not a race, right? It's not a race. It's a marathon and everything happens on its own time. You just have to really do your best at what you do. And, things will happen slowly if you just stick to the process. And that's where I embody that process, trust the process and just keep going with it because I really try to do things super fast and spent a lot of money, lost a lot of money. And I think the blessing we both have is after you do those mistakes, you come up with a mature mindset when you look at things and you realize that, you know what, things have their own time and they're gonna emerge when they emerge. But you just gotta stick to the process and the grind.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Most definitely. So yeah, I think that's kind of like what to answer to put a bow on the question. You know, it really takes to be an entrepreneur in the service business, at least to start. You know, and that's how it started for me. You know, but yeah, who are your favorite podcasters that inspired you to get into podcasting?
Man, favorite podcasters. So I think I fell in love with podcasting and the idea of it when I used to listen to The Brilliant Idiots, right? Back in 2014 when Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz just released like their episodes. And I just love the way they were just chatting. I look forward every Thursday for the drop. Then I found out about Tax Stone. I don't know if you know Tax?
Love Tax Stone.
Tax
Love
Stone,
Tax
bro.
Season.
Tax
Yeah, that
Season.
was legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him. And then who else did I start listening to?
Listen to any Combat Jack?
Combat Jack, man. RIP Combat Jack, man. Honestly. Yeah.
RIP Combat Jack, man.
And then great person, man. Just had like a calmness to him that like it just makes you like it just makes you like, wow, this is such a vibe. And I used to listen to a bunch of sports guys, like, you know, guys at Raptors Republic. I'm a huge Raptors fan. So at every single game.
You can see that, man, at the We the North in the background.
Yeah, bro. We the North, bro. NBA. I also have like the paper right there of Kawhi holding the trophy. Like We the Champs Toronto Star. I have that hung up on my wall. So yeah, man, it's just like a bunch of the comedy guys and sports guys really got me into it. And that's what happened, bro. That's what's got me started. I was like, man, I just want to build a platform, and these are the guys who got me to really think about starting something. Then I found out about Anchor. And I was like, yo, this is super easy. Let's just create something and drop that.
And try it out, man. Most definitely. Same here. Like I've been heavily into podcasts lately, you know.
And I think since we're like building this podcast, also of everything, it's like we're students of the game. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
It makes us okay. What are they doing that we can add to ours? Like, what's their structure? Like, what is their how they marketing it? You know, how they growing their audience? Little things like that.
Most definitely. So, yeah, for me, Combat Jack was huge. The J. Cole Combat Jack episode was like super huge for me. I'm a huge J. Cole fan, so seeing that come together was great. And then that, like, how I think it was like 3 hours long, you know, and learned so much. This is something I can see myself doing. You know, having this candid, easygoing conversations.
Yeah, bro.
It makes so much sense. I've always been a fan of like deeper interviews, but whether it be like Nardwar or Howard Stern. You know, and Charlemagne the God before they're brilliant idiots as well.
Yeah.
You know, Barbara Walters, 60 Minutes, you know, the Actor Studio. Yeah. You know, this has been like, I didn't realize that was my thing for a while. I used to like long form content, you know.
So, and you're just taking it in and you're just listening and you're going on about your day and you're just hearing like a conversation going on and you're just soaking it all in, man. It's super rewarding, man. It actually is.
Most definitely. I'm a recluse, you know, so I'm an only child, so I always spend time with myself, just either working on something. And as an entrepreneur, you're lonely a lot of the time, so it's like double whammy for me. So I'm sorry, what kind of podcasts can I listen to? Like, who can I study? You know, I didn't realize at first, but I was like really good diving into these journalists, man, or Larry King as well. Larry King's a beast.
He's an OG, man. He's been doing it for some time, you know?
Most definitely. So, on another note, though, what business has really inspired you lately?
A business. I don't know, man. It's tough, but there's a few businesses that I really, really like, and I really admire. And, you know, I'm actually on their website right now. Like, no word of a lie. Tristan Walker's Bevel. Like,
oh yeah, Get Bevel. Okay.
Get Bevel, yeah. The reason like I've been inspired by it's just like the authentic, true, like the brand of it. It's just like so authentic and genuine and so true to what it's all about. And their products are just like, I feel like they really care about their customers. Like, you know, us two Black guys, right? When is there a time in your life when you like really looked at a product on, let's say, GQ, Esquire, all these magazines that, like, you know, we always like flip through like growing up one time or another, and you see like a product like really marketed towards you, like, let's say, grooming wise and stuff like it, and it's not like a generic like black magazine or whatever, like Essence or stuff like that.
Grooming wise, yeah, probably only Bevels. Like, grooming wise, you know. Yeah, I think grooming wise, outside of grooming, I would say maybe Suit Supply, where they had like the black model. Yeah, it's about it. There isn't much. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there isn't much, man. Yeah, nah.
Not a lot,
Nothing
eh?
really. Not a lot. Not a lot
Yeah.
at all.
It's just like that way makes you feel connected to who you are. It's like, okay, this is like a place that's like for me, you feel me? And then another brand that's inspires me, you know, Aim Leon Dort.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hold on. To get back, it actually came to me. Get Fresh Heritage. Not get. Yeah, Get Fresh Heritage. Fresh Heritage. That
Fresh
brand.
Heritage.
By Gamal Conner. You know, brand dope. When I say, I'm like, oh, okay, he's trying to go for black people. And it's a beard care line. So I would say that. So those would be the two. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think maybe some hairbrushes like I've come across. You know what I'm saying? But that's basically it.
Classic.
Yeah.
But you know Aim Leon Dort though, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man.
But let's stay on Bevel. I'll put that in the parking lot. Stay on Bevel. What do you think about the acquisition of Bevel?
So this happened in 2018, I believe. Yeah,
in December.
In December, and
it was announced.
It was announced they got acquired by Procter and Gamble. They didn't really disclose the amount that they got purchased for, but from what I heard and from listening to a bunch of the CPG guys I follow on Twitter, they got acquired for about like 35 to 40 million, around there. So I think what happened, and maybe you can correct me if you've also read some material, they weren't really making any money, right? They're taking a lot of funding, and the funding that they collected from were from, you know, VCs, athletes, celebrities such as Nas, Magic Johnson, John Legend, and those are the three that I remember who are prominent investors. And then you had like NBA guys like Andre Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, who had invested in it. So pretty much that money that P&G bought the Bevel for all went back to the investors, right? And the thing is because they didn't really have a growth strategy. They needed more money to really grow the business. So the only reason they got acquired is they needed the money to really, and they needed the backing, they needed the infrastructure to really grow. And without that acquisition, they had to raise more money. And you know, when you raise more money, you know, you get diluted. And to even really,
you have a guitar?
No, bro. I just kind of hit like the spring of like the boom arm that carries the mic.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, two things that I feel about this acquisition, bro. So, when Tristan started Bevel, he came and said, I really want this to be the Johnson & Johnson for people of color. And that was very inspirational. I was like, man, that's big. And he was there. He's all over TV, black entrepreneur, you know, in Silicon Valley. Like, yo, who is doing this at this scale? So everything he said up to that acquisition process, when the news broke out, I was a little bit sad and I was a little bit disappointed, you know, because he wanted to be what P&G is, and he kind of got sold to them. And I think in our community, there's like this is always a thing. Like even BT gets sold to Comcast, right? Viacom. Shea Butter got sold to. Do you know the Shea Butter story?
I remember who they got shows, but then they bought it back, I believe. No, you're talking about Shea Moisture. You're talking about Shea Moisture.
Yeah. So, bro, I mean, I was disappointed by Tristan selling, but then after listening to a lot of the interviews he did, I mean, I think he had no other option but to do it. But I'm still happy.
Unilever.
They sold to Unilever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he got back like 50 million, invested it in like Essence magazine and like 50 Black women or something like that. But yeah, me not fuck that up. Me. So Shea Moisture. Oh man. All right, keep going. So you're saying
yeah, man. I was talking to my friend Christelle, and she was like saying like, yeah, she was a little bit upset because we kind of saw him as our guy. Like, this is our guy. Like, this is like the guy in Silicon Valley. He's doing it, and he's doing it big, and he had an awesome start. And he had like a 6-year run, and then he got acquired. So from what he's saying, things are still going to be the same. Things are still going to be Bevel. It's still operating as its own entity. They just have a partner who is, backing their R&D and can help them get distribution faster and make their brands evolve faster. So, I mean, you can't blame him, but I think if it was any other person, he'd be like, yeah, I get it. But since it's Tristan, with kind of like how he came out with it and said that this is what I want to be, and then being swallowed by that person who you want to be, it's kind of deflating, not gonna lie. But I still support them. I still support Bevel every single day. So I think one thing I admire about them is just the authenticity and how great the brand feels.
Yeah. So he still owns it. I mean, well, I'm not sure about owning, but you still CEO of the company. Which I guess is like managing director type of.
He's the first Black Procter and Gamble CEO ever, and it's like 100-year existence, man. How insane is that?
Interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He also is on the board of directors for Foot Locker.
Yeah, he just got on there like this year, I think.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, like 2 months ago in February. That's very interesting.
Yo, take it in. Actually, before I got let go of Vision Critical, I was actually going after them. I was actually talking to one of their employees to get a meeting with like Tristan or something to really showcase our software solution to them.
How was it going? At what stage do you leave off?
So pretty much, okay,
talking about it?
Yeah. With COVID, like, of course, things kind of took a halt. So I asked one of the guys, Randy, who works, I think he's in marketing, and he's just like, man, this sounds great. And we'd been following each other on social, so it's like really easy connect. But things are like, of course, every business right now is scrambling to really get things out. But he was just kind of saying how having access to anybody to really listen to an outside business to pitch them something is tough right now, because he didn't say employees are being let go, but like there's a lot of shuffling going around. There's this going around. It's just not the right time, right? So yeah, it would have been crazy if I got Bevel on Vision Critical. That would have been insane.
Yeah, that'd have been great, man. It's just too bad, how do you think, okay, let's get into it. We're going to be putting this on YouTube, so I don't know if you can say the word anymore, but let's call it.
What word?
COVID-19.
You can't say COVID-19
on YouTube. No, you can't.
Why?
So, because they block it out. Google's algorithm blocks it out right now, and they'll take off the video.
Immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Or demonetize it, but not monetized right now. So, how do you think? Where do you see COVID affecting the economy right now?
Where do I see COVID affecting the economy?
Yeah, the hardest.
Of course, small businesses, for sure. And by small businesses, I mean businesses with 2 to 20 employees who depend on foot traffic to really evolve to make their business flourish. So these are like the stores you see on the streets. These are the mom and pop shops that need foot traffic to survive. Um, yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, that's all I know right now. To give you like the answer, like of what I feel like is impacted the most, because without those small businesses, like the economy crashes. There's a lot of people with no jobs. People go out of business, and when we come back out of this recession, to get people back up and running again, it's going to take another year to really get back to where they were, because this is going to take at least 6 months out of their business. So they have no revenue. They have all this rent. They don't own the land, which is like another big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they have no money coming in. And then to get things back up and running again, it's just going to be another pain in the ass. So that's kind of where I see right now the biggest hits the economy is going to be at, is just the small businesses that need the foot traffic to really sustain themselves.
Yeah, man, it's the foot traffic right now is minimal, you know,
Yeah.
and all of them can't operate their e-commerce stores either because they're not recognized as essential business, right? So what a lot of them are doing right now is trying to sell masks as a guise to be recognized as an essential business. Have you heard about this?
It's funny you mentioned that, because I saw a thing on Twitter how
Yeah.
brands are utilizing masks to really sell their. I don't know what they're saying, but I saw like a lot of the reason why a lot of brands are making masks, and I didn't
Mm.
click on it yet. But do you like tell me like what is it like? Why are they doing this?
From what it sounds like is that they want to become essential services, or
Mm-hmm.
at least they want the brand association of I'm wearing an off-white mask or I'm wearing a Nike mask, you know. So it's like a double whammy, and also there's tax exemptions that comes from it, and contracts that can come from the government. You know, like GM right now just got like a warfare contract with the government for like hundreds of millions of dollars. Let me pull this up for you. GM contract.
But like the thing is, it's like if they can't do production, for example, these companies who rely on international production, if
Mhm.
everything's on lockdown, I mean, how are you producing these masks at a profit, right? So let's say like
They're not.
if you're a brand, yeah, exactly, right? So China's on lockdown, like Wuhan is coming back up, but
Mhm.
all other factories are most definitely locked down, or even if they're not locked down, they're not operating at maximum efficiency. So if you're a local company in Canada or the States and you're used to having international production, how do you
How you
really
supposed to
produce?
operate?
Huh?
So yeah, how they supposed to operate? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
100%. So the government just gave GM the under the Defense Production Act 489.4 million dollar contract to make 30,000 ventilators to be delivered. So it's like a
Is
huge
this America
contract.
or Canada?
This is America. This is America.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. This is on driving.ca. Also, this is on Click on Detroit as well. Um, but this is happening. This is about to happen in Canada as well. It's not a far thing because there's GM factories in Canada. So yeah,
But like,
man.
what about these other brands that like the Nike brands or these fashion brands? How are they gonna produce a lot of masks to really you know?
So some of them have factories in America. Like New Balance is a factory in America.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if Nike does, but America has factories. America has factories still. It's just more expensive. You know, they usually use it for more premium products. You know,
Yeah.
so now they're just gonna use it. And thing is, I think Wuhan's back up and running. Not like completely, but like they're trying to reacclimatize the society. So there's still things
Mhm.
becoming to get open again. You know,
Mhm.
so that's gonna.
Like, what do you think is a business that, let's say if you are like you're just a young guy or a girl and you really want to
Mm-hmm,
start a business in this climate, so you're going to be in quarantine for let's say 6 months, let's give
mm-hmm.
it to like 6 7 months till the end of the year. What are some ideas that, like, you know, people can cook up to have like a side hustle to really pass time
Mm-hmm.
in this during this period? And I've been thinking
Cooking
about some
meals.
ideas, eh?
All right, so I bet. All right, let's see who gets a better idea. So, actually, just let the audience decide. Let's do this. So, comment or DM us on Instagram and let us know what your favorite idea is to make money during COVID. Once again, 24/7 hustler on
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
All right, so for me, I'd say you can leverage tax. Right now is the best time to jump into the tax business. Everyone has nothing but time, and everyone starts to file their taxes. It's boring, but it's like the easiest way to make money still, because everyone needs to get their taxes done.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if you know how to to do someone's taxes, you can make easy, clean money right now. Just by being able to market yourself on social media and LinkedIn, with the algorithm being more open there. I think that's probably like the easiest way to make money. Secondary, I would say staying with essentials. Everyone still has to buy essentials from somebody, so
What do you define
cooking,
as essentials?
food, and like things that you need every day. Soap, uh, yeah, like food and water and shelter. So I think you can make a lot of money. Um,
So, like,
get
are we drop shipping these items? Because if we're, let's say we're in our bedrooms right now and we really want to start a business, we can't go outside, so we're left with our computer. Do you
mhm.
think they should, you know, get into like an e-commerce play, or how do you see them
I would say
make
as an affiliate player, actually, I'd
affiliate? Eh?
say, yeah, I'd say them like having brand sponsorships and affiliates with people who are cooking or who are trying to get people to buy specific product. Like in their, the only thing people are leaving the house to do right now is buy groceries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So groceries right now is like probably the easiest way to make money.
How will they make money?
And taxes.
Are they selling it online? Do you see them selling it online, or?
I think it'll probably be information online. So whether it
Mhm,
be a YouTube channel teaching people how to cook,
mhm.
or like kind of like what we did with Eden, giving
Yeah, yo, we dropped
oh
a
yeah,
lot
that
of that
that
episode's gonna
episode
be
is gonna be
fire.
great. Yes, I can't wait for that episode. That Eden episode is gonna be great.
That was
Um,
like, I would even call that a podcast, man. That was like a consultation call.
yeah, it was a mix of both. Yeah, it was like an interview meets conversation call meets like a catch up on life. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was
it's
everything.
like a
Yeah,
hodgepodge of everything.
a great gumbo.
Yeah.
So um, hmm, I think that would probably be it. Um, if I'm someone that's in the crib trying to, or it's the stock market as well. If I have extra money, like what's my money like? I'm thinking like if you have absolutely no money and you're trying to like figure it out from ground zero, that's probably the best thing to easily make deals.
I actually had a conversation with one of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
my friend Martin and Rodney. So we had like just a call the other day, and you know, for the longest time, we've wanted to start something together. So they're part of an investment group that they each contribute monthly towards a stock.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we were talking about is, you know, investing in stocks, and what people try and do is they invest in stocks that they feel are undervalued, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is, us as regular investors or people who don't are not hedge fund managers or who don't like really look at, or day traders, it's really hard to find like a stock to beat in the market that's
Mm-hmm.
very undervalued. And one of the things is that um, with stocks, whatever price you see right then and there, it generally and usually always reflects the price of what the true stock is, right? And one of the things we were talking about is, if you really want to get into passive investing, there's something called target day funds, right? So how they work is, let's say you and I were to set up a fund together, and we say, okay, in 5 years, we really want this fund to help us buy a property somewhere. Uh, Perhaps it's a commercial property or it's like a duplex, whatever you want to do with it. And we make a monthly contribution every single year, every single month. What the fund does is it's a mutual fund which it invests in general, like index funds in general, right? So it's a bunch of index funds, and what it does, it invests in many different funds, and over time, as we're getting closer to the date of when the fund is supposed to close and where we're supposed to take the money out, it gets more conservative, right? Before it's like, okay, let's invest in this, let's invest in that, let's invest in whatever it wants to invest in. But over time, it really starts investing in stuff that's like more and more less risky and more conservative. So early on, as you're growing it, you're doing it, and as it reaches in there, it's more conservative.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
it allows you to make more passive investment. It allows you to accumulate passive investment. It's very it beats the general market of just like investing in random equity stocks, and you actually make a lot more money by doing that than trying to find like a stock which is, oh yeah, man, this is the right stock. Because a lot of people, when they invest in stocks, they just look at, okay, what is the dividend yield on this stock? How much can I get it for? Okay, this stock is like $2, or this ETF is $2 a share, and the yield is like 8%.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to look at everything else that's involved in that with that stock, even REIT stocks, right? Um, and this is one thing that I learned from my friends is that, and I knew as well. I think a lot of people have a mindset of investing in cool looking stocks, but they don't invest in the business, right? So if you flip your
Mm-hmm.
mentality from, hey, let me just try to beat the market, let me try and invest $10 and make $8 extra profit by 2 weeks, you're gonna get yourself burned all the time. But if you take, let's say, if you have a cool $500, you invest in a great stock that has a solid dividend, has no debt, has great management. You believe in the business, you know how they make money, and you believe this business is going to exist 20, 30, 40 years from now, then that's a
Mm-hmm.
place where you should invest your money. Um, and instead of just investing, oh, yeah, let's look at the best stock, which has a highest yield. But you don't even do your fundamental analysis where you're looking at your PE ratios, your debt ratios, your income statements, and all these different things. Um, how they're managing their business and what products are coming out. If you don't do that due diligence, then you shouldn't